I said I wasn't going to buy very many seeds this year, and I only ordered from a couple of places. I may have gone a little bit overboard at the seed swap and sale. That's okay because we'll grow some of these seeds and some of the seeds will be good for next year and the few years after, and that's how I justify it to myself. I'm sure many of you guys feel the same way. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Kayla. This is 5 Canadian Acres, where I'm growing just west of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada in a Zone 3 short season cold climate. So I actually only had 2 seeds that I needed to buy, and I found neither of them at the seed swap and sale. So we ended up stopping at a greenhouse afterwards. And of course, that is the Sun Gold. These are my favorite tomatoes to grow. Not cheap seeds. They are $6.50 for 15 seeds. That's okay. We will grow them and we will enjoy them, and they are worth it. And then secondly, I needed some more green bean seeds, and I have found over the years, all the varieties work. They're all kind of great, but I like these Provider green beans. So I found 2 different ones. They're both Provider, but they're just 2 different companies. And I thought, hey, maybe I'll just grow them alongside each other and see if there's any differences, and then maybe save seeds from the ones I like better, or if they are just the same. So now let's go over the seed orders. So the first company I ordered from was T&T Seeds. They're out of Manitoba. I've ordered from them in the past. Really great. Love the seeds. And I also wanted to order from them because they have bulk seeds. So I had said one of my goals is to focus on maybe just the core crops that I want to grow and these specific varieties that I've found that I like. So one of the core crops that I do want to grow are carrots. So I ordered some carrot seeds from them. Now again, I may have gone a little bit overboard. My favorite carrots are these Scarlet Nance, or Nantes, I don't know how you want to pronounce them. This is 25 grams. So then I also ordered these Health Master carrots just to try. They were a good price. I always like to order different things. This is 500 seeds, and this has approximately 900 seeds per gram. Well, I ordered the bulk pack of these Scarlet Nance, and they're 25 grams. So really, this is probably over 20,000 carrot seeds. Probably won't need all those, but I just wanted to make sure I planted lots of these kind. Now, I also ordered these Bolero, and I've opened them up, as you can see, because I wanted to see. They are a pelleted seed. So the problem with carrots is they are teeny tiny little seeds. It's really easy to overseed them. It's kind of hard for germination sometimes because they can get washed away. And I have had pelleted seeds in the past, which work really good. You get very nice spacing on your carrots and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, let's try the pelleted seeds out as well, because it's just nice to have lots of varieties, right? So we have those for our carrot seeds. The other thing I ordered from them was these cucumber. These are the Cool Breeze hybrid. So I've also grown, I think, the Quarantine hybrid, which are very similar. These I love. They are very prolific. I have found they are riper earlier and they produce 3 times as much as any other plant. So while I will grow the heirlooms, I'm finding these hybrids are really good if you want to just focus on having a good production. The hybrid seeds tend to be a little bit more expensive, but I find, it's $2 more. Whereas we'll go throw away, $5, $6 on a cup of coffee. So what's $2 on probably hundreds, if not 1,000 cucumbers? And then of course, because I always like to buy more varieties, these are a King of the Castle cucumber, which are said to be good for pickles. Again, it is a hybrid. So I thought, hey, let's try another hybrid cucumber compared to this hybrid cucumber. Because all of my comparisons with my cucumbers has kind of been a hybrid versus an heirloom. So we're going to go ahead and do that experiment, knowing I'm going to get lots of cucumbers. The other thing I wanted to focus on is peas. So again, I wanted a bulk order so we could grow lots of rows of peas, and specifically 2 different types of peas. I wanted an edible pod pea, so that's when you can kind of eat the whole thing. And then I wanted a shelling pea. So for the edible pod, we got the Super Sugar Snap. Any sort of sugar snap pea is really going to be what you're looking for, is the edible pod, and you eat them and they're really good. The whole thing, it's sweet. If you let these get too big though, then they kind of get bitter. You don't want to eat these once they've kind of matured too much. Those are the good ones for fresh eating, stir fries and such. And the other one are the shelling peas. So I went with these Homesteader, tried and true, very good variety. Now with these Homesteader ones, you want to wait till they get big and then you shell them. And then when they are big, they are actually sweet. So between these 2 varieties, we have everything kind of covered, and we should be eating peas all season long. And then because, it's hard to make a seed order without perusing the whole catalog, I found a few other things that, hey, why not? Let's try it. We've got this spinach. It's an Avon hybrid. So again, I'm trying these different hybrid varieties out because Spinach bolts really, really easily. You only get a short season here in order to grow it. So I'm hoping maybe these hybrid ones won't bolt as much. Fingers crossed, we'll have to wait and see. And then I have these marigolds. They are a strawberry blonde marigold. Normal marigolds, you know, they come in the varieties yellow and orange traditionally. You know, there's a few other varieties out there, some reds and such. This is a strawberry blonde, so it's kind of a, what do you think, strawberry blonde, kind of a pale pinkish. So that'll be a nice little addition to the garden. And then lastly, we have this fennel. This is an Antares fennel. This is a 68-day fennel, so it's a little bit of a shorter growing season than my other fennel that I've tried. I haven't had success growing fennel, hence why I'm going to try this one and see if we can get that to work. So that's it for the TNT seeds. The next seed company I ordered from is called Salt Spring Seeds. Now I order from this seed company every year. Kind of nostalgic. I actually visited Salt Spring a lot as a child. My grandparents lived there. And also they have a cool deal if you order under $20, so about 4 or 5 packs of seeds, that you can get shipping in a little envelope like this. It's only $2 for shipping, which is a great deal. They also have a ton of really neat varieties, lots of medicinals and herbs and just plants that are more rare and unique. So firstly, I have this, it's called Drunken Women Lettuce. And the picture of this looked really cool. It was just kind of like really frilly, big leaves that kind of flopped all over the place. That'll be fun to grow. And also this Yeticule romaine. So it's a romaine lettuce, but it's an old, unique variety grown in Turkey. So it just kind of has those stories that go along with them. Then we have this Scarlet Bee Balm. So I have the normal bee balm out there. It's a bluish color. I thought adding the scarlet color, that red, another, you know, punch of color in the garden, something pollinators are going to like, a little bit different. Also can be used medicinally. Next, we have a Nadmorska rutabaga. Love rutabagas, carrots and rutabaga. I've talked about them. So again, another neat variety to try and grow. This is saying it's frost tolerant, bug resistant, originally from Russia. So kind of the same sort of climate that we have up here. We're going to try that rutabaga out. And then lastly, this roseroot, or rhodiola. So this, again, is a medicinal plant that I'm going to grow. It's a little succulent. It's a hard time growing succulents a lot, especially from seed, but they're always fun to experiment. Now we can move on to the seed swap seeds. So I did get a few seeds from the actual seed swap. The seed swap's really neat because there's two sort of areas. There's the seed swap side where you take all your seeds and then they kind of sort them out and you can go and look through the seeds other people have donated. So I was able to take a bunch of seeds that I had saved myself, you know, chives and calendula, you know, to pass those along. And then I perused and found a couple of seeds for myself. We've got just some dill seeds. My mission, I did not grow enough dill last year, so I want to plant a ton of dill this year. I did buy a couple of packets of dill seeds, and I do have a little bit saved, but you know, the home saved seeds tend to grow the best around here, so I got some extra dill ones. And then just some giant sunflowers. A few years back, I grew really, really tall ones and they looked really beautiful. I haven't done it since and I'd really like to try that again. Hopefully we get a nice, good long growing season. So we'll grow some big, tall sunflowers this year. And then of course, what's a seed swap without getting tomato seeds? Only one tomato seed at the swap side. These are the Chadwick cherry tomato. I've heard of them before. Let's just try and grow them. And then we have a couple of squash. I'm always on the lookout for good tasting squash. Squash are really fun to grow. They're pretty low maintenance. They grow pretty well up here if you can get, you know, a shorter season variety. They store really well. And there are, again, just like tomatoes, there are actually a ton of squash varieties. We're talking about winter squash here. So I found these Sibley HL, just a large squash. We'll try and grow those and see what they look like. And then also this shark fin melon. Kind of like a spaghetti squash. So we'll see if they're kind of like maybe a melon squash cross. So then we went over to the other side where all the seed companies are. And let me tell you, this has grown. This is the Edmonton Seedy Sunday and it seems to get bigger every year. There were a lot of seed companies there. It's hard to get through them all. I did buy from a couple of my favorite ones. The first one I bought from was called Moonglow Gardens. It's actually pretty close to where I live. They have a ton of fun tomato seeds and then a few other extras. So the first thing I got were these Berries Crazy Cherry. These are what's called a multiflora cherry. So, you know, instead of just having a few on a vine, it's just going to grow a ton off of one sort of area. I've heard of those before. We'll give those ones a try. And then we have this Moonlight Mile. This is a tomato. It's a dwarf tomato. So the dwarf tomatoes, they are smaller, shorter, you know, nice to grow in this climate because then they're just going to grow a little bit. Then they're going to focus on growing that fruit that you need. We don't need plants that are thinking about growing so much plant material. We want to get to that fruit really quickly. Now this next one, as I talked about in my last video, I bought for the name. Also the picture looked kind of cool. You know, I maybe need another paste tomato. I only have the Amish paste. I don't know if I can read the name out loud, but I will say part of the name and then you can read it. So this is a cow's tomato, and it kind of looks like an udder. I guess we can call it a cow's udder, maybe. Kind of looks like an udder, kind of funny name. Let's try growing that tomato. This is wolf dill. So another pack of dill I picked up, just a different kind of variety, something that's northern adapted to our climate. And these ones were a purchase for the look. These are a pale lavender gray bean, just a beautiful looking bean. I thought those would be really cool to grow. You know, a rare collector's bean. Let's try and see how those look. My favorite bean to grow is called a Cascade Lemonade bean, and they self-seed for me and I save the seeds. So I thought these ones might be kind of on par with that. Just some really pretty beans that are good for flavor and also visually appealing. And then lastly, this self-heal. It's another medicinal plant to start adding to all the medicinal part of the garden. The nice thing about a lot of these medicinal plants is you can tuck them in different areas of your garden. You don't have to have a full kind of medicinal garden. Just plop them in different little places. You only need a small amount. You don't need like a whole row of plants. 1 or 2 plants is usually sufficient to be able to supply you with what you or your family would need. And then the other company I bought from is called No Coast Seeds. Again, I bought from them in the past. That's where I got the Cascade Lemonade beans from. They're out of Saskatchewan, so just a province over, which they have a little bit of a harsher climate than us, so these seeds tend to do really well for me here. So first I got is these Sandita, which is known as a cucamelon. I've grown these before. I just needed to replace my seeds. They're kind of hit or miss. Some people don't like them. I have some of my kids like them. Some of them don't. I like them. Just a little tiny cucumber. Almost tastes like, to me, the rind of a watermelon, but a little bit maybe more juicy. So I really just like to have them as a fresh snack and when I'm out in the garden. Pop a little bit in my mouth. Just a little bit of good flavor, refreshing on those hot days. Then we have this crimson veined spinach. Again, this is another attempt at spinach, and this one caught me, marketing again, when it says that the plant looks quite striking as they flower and leaf production is still quite good well into the flowering phase. So you'll be rewarded with salad if they let the plant stay in the garden after they start to bolt. So I'm going to try that. Let this bolt, because the problem is a lot of times when the plants bolt or go to seed, they tend to change their flavor. They kind of get bitter. We'll see if this doesn't get bitter once it starts to bolt. Next we have is a blacktail watermelon. On the mission to grow some melons this year that are bigger than normal or bigger than the little tiny ones that I get every year. So these ones say earliest and easiest, fit for short season gardeners. We're going to try those ones. I still have quite a few other melon seeds I'll be growing to compare with them, but just thought I'd add that one to the collection. And then because of course I have a problem, we have a couple more tomato seeds. I'm always on the lookout for the determinates or, you know, the dwarf tomatoes or micro dwarf tomatoes. So they had a few. First one is this Uluru Otra one. This one actually reminded me of those Thornburn's terracotta, so kind of just like a yellowy orange, really neat looking one. 8 to 16 ounce beefsteak. These ones are 3-foot high plants, so I guess they're technically a dwarf, but not a micro dwarf tomato. We'll try those ones out. And lastly is the Mocha's cherry dwarf tomato. This again is one of those really dark tomatoes, those anthocyanins. Just going to give that one a try. It's only an 18 to 20 inch plant, so maybe consider, you know, that micro dwarf variety, which are always really cute and easy to grow. Throw them in some pots on your patio and you get a really good harvest. So there is the 2025 seed haul. I'll have to start some of these seeds right away. I've already started my other tomato seeds. So all these tomato seeds, maybe a couple of the herb seeds I'm going to need to start. The carrots and the peas, those are just going to go directly in the ground. Same with the beans. And I'm fairly certain I am done buying seeds for the year. So now it's just a matter of planting. As you can see behind me, we got another dump of snow. So we're not getting into the garden quite yet, but just going to be taking care of those seedlings and continuing on with our seed starting schedule. As always, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.